Hello, peoples. We're back. Yeah, we had to take a little break there for a bit. Brother co-host was having some issues with his internet, and I mean, it's really hard to get folks, between Thanksgiving and Christmas to want to sit down and do this, and that's cool. I get that. So tonight we are doing another compare and contrast episode for Werewolf the Apocalypse and Forsaken. We got one of our wonderful returning guests, Matheus, is back. He was on our first show. Say hi, Matt.
Hello, people. Greetings from Brazil. And apocalypse for the win.
Well, we're going to get to that in a minute. And, of course, my wonderful co-host, Brother Jacob.
I am here, too, yes.
Yeah.
And are we at the actual 1 year or 2 year anniversary?
I believe
or
so.
Are we...
No, I think we're a little over. No, it's the 15th.
The 15th. All right.
Hold on. Let me double check.
About a week.
Yeah, about a week. So we're right at our 2 year mark, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. No, 19th.
We did 2 years.
January 19th.
Well, it's only 4 days, so yeah, this is the closest to 1 year if we stayed on a Tuesday.
Yep. Yeah, sure is. So I guess it's kind of fortuitous that we got Matt back for this one.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm always here. Whenever you need, guys.
I like your logo, though, dude. Who did that for you?
One of the guys that work kind of, that's strange, but he does the podcast with me from Nação Garou in Brazil, and he got all the articles, not me, though.
Oh, it's way cool. I love it.
His name's Alan, by the way. Yeah.
So, all right. So, we're back. Brother Jacob, kick us off.
All right. Well, we are doing these compare contrasts. So I'll throw to Matheus here on what I guess with Forsaken, what is the big overarching theme of the game? Because, I mean, obviously Apocalypse, it's all about you're trying to protect the world at the, from spiritual and environmental degradation. What I guess is the general theme of Forsaken?
Well, as far as I know, I guess that Forsaken, actually this entire new line of White Wolf role-playing games is kind of more focusing on the horror of the thing. So they pick up some core ideas that they had from the first games, and then they focus on that. So I would say that here in Forsaken, the basically idea it's about the hunt, something that we will be discussing through our podcast today, I guess. And so the werewolves here, they are in a way the protectors of the worlds of flesh and bone. This kind of thing hasn't changed that much, but how they stand themselves in this war of flesh and bone, as flesh and spirit, as I said, this is the main change of the thing. They're not actually protecting the planet as people who don't like Werewolf the Apocalypse that much like to say, but they're actually acting as their prime duty as protectors and hunters of the spiritual world,
Yeah. Now, my question, why the hell can't we get anybody but you to talk about Forsaken?
I've been...
I tried for over a month, dude, to find somebody.
I know, but that's... I'm feeling an odd situation right now, because in my podcast, I'm always all about apocalypse, and no, please, not Forsaken. And now I've received an invitation. Let's talk about Forsaken. I said, okay. But here we are.
Well, we want to talk about both, of course. So
yeah,
so you gave us a pretty good outline there. Seriously, though, I mean, I cannot find anybody who wants to talk about Forsaken, and that's crazy.
One of the people I LARP with plays Forsaken, but I don't know Like, I don't personally know anybody who's really done anything with it. It didn't. It really didn't seem to catch people's eyes or attention as much as some of the other Chronicle of Darkness lines, from my perspective. Like, I know several people that have played Requiem. I know people that like Changeling the Lost. I know people that like Geist the Sin Eaters, and all the other ones. But
Okay.
I don't, literally, I only know one person who's ever said that they've played Forsaken.
Yeah, I don't know why that happens, but I'm gonna give you the perspective that I have from Brazil. From the Brazilians' perspective is that I guess the Requiem was not so well accepted here in Brazil, especially due to the name things. I guess White Wolf, they went on the wrong foot with that, because whenever you're passing through the pages on Vampire the Requiem, so you can find some of the common names you used to have, like the Bruja or Ventru or Malkavian or anything like this. And then when you take a look, they have the same name, but it's not the same thing. And then some people got kind of disappointed. And then when Werewolf the Forsaken appeared here in Brazil, people say, no, come on, all of that again. So you have the idea that it's a new game, but with lots of things from the old one. And so why should I start a new game? Only because of the game mechanics. White Wolf has never been about that. All of its games, I mean, they were never so focused on the game mechanics. So that's why in the past, that's why we had terrible mechanics for good scenario games and stuff. And so people, they didn't like Forsaken that much. But Brazil has lots of Werewolf players. And so some of them do play the Forsaken, but it's not something that has actually caught here in Brazil.
Yeah.
You can see not even the editor here in Brazil. They don't sell the books anymore. It's damn difficult to find a Forsaken book here.
Yeah, but I don't know. Did they translate it to Portuguese?
Yeah. They did. They translated only the core book. And they have the storyteller screen as well, but only those two.
Yeah. So of course they didn't. There's the core book and all, but you don't have any of the other. I guess did they do any kind of like they did for Vampire the by Night stuff?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of supplements for Forsaken, because
yeah, but they didn't
those I've seen
translate
in
them to
stores.
Portuguese.
But here in Brazil, we've got a couple of books from Vampire, but only one of Werewolf, only one from Mage, and Changeling the Lost as well. But I guess that's it. I don't know if it was a bad market call from the editor here in Brazil or anything like this, but I don't know. I guess the book has come in the wrong time in Brazilian scenario, at least. So it's damn difficult to find people who play Forsaken. Even here, that's why. Even here, we have lots of Werewolf players, but Apocalypse, that's the majority of people.
Probably because they translated more of those into Portuguese than they did for Forsaken.
Actually, the person who translated the most of the books in Portuguese from the Apocalypse was me.
Oh,
but, okay.
That's awesome. Let me circle back for a second. You were talking about White Wolf has never really been much about mechanics, and you're absolutely right. You pick up a D&D book and flip it to a random page, and there's 3-4 freaking tables of things that you need to know, or at least know how to look up. And I'm like, White Wolf has never been there. It's not about the rolling of the dice for the most part. It's more about the story as opposed to killing goblins. That's just the standard go-to. It doesn't matter. So, all right, Jacob, have you got anything interesting you want to throw at him?
Well, oh, excuse me. Uh, sorry about that.
No problem.
Okay, so you said that just like with Requiem, there was some things that they kept the similar names for, recognizable names for, when switching over from Apocalypse to Forsaken. And we've had a couple of Apocalypse episodes, which you've been on at least most of them, I believe. So
Well, he's
what
he's our
I guess
go-to werewolf guy.
what are some of the the things that they kept when they came over? Like, do they? I assume there's still tribes, and the various forms that they shift
Yep.
into are fairly similar. So I mean, like, what's some of the things that they kept from Apocalypse, and what are some of the new spins they put on that?
Okay. Well, the the Forsaken characters, they still got 5 forms and 5 auspices. Okay, and that's something that displeased me. Okay, that's my personal opinion. One of the forms, for example, the war form, the Wolfman, it's called Garu, which would be quite similar to Peter trying to say Garou, as we do
Yeah.
here in Portuguese. But that was the first thing that caught my attention, and also with the 5 auspices, because they're pretty much the same. They got different names, but you can still find. Okay, I'm gonna go through the auspices first. So we have the Haka, which is the new moon, but here they work as scouts, spies, and trackers. They're pretty much similar to the Ragabash we have in the Apocalypse, although their concept here would be the stalker. But still, they broke that idea that Ragabash, they were kind of lawbreakers, or not lawbreakers, but they would question law. But here they're just the stalkers, kind of the again with the focus on the hunt, as I said in the beginning of the podcast. Then they go with the Itaor, that's the crescent moon. They are the spirits masters. They are the occultists and the ones who keep the spiritual lore and rituals. You can say Teurge in the Apocalypse. The Eladoth, the half moon, the walker between. They are diplomats to the spirit courts, judges. Again, Philodox. Kahalathi, which are the gibbous moon, they are the visionaries, the lore keepers, the storytellers, and seers. Again, Galliards, and the Hahu, which are the full moon, the warriors. So the warriors of the Auron from what we have in the previous game. So you take a look at the auspices. They do have different names, but you've got the 5 phases of the moon, and the same concept that they did have in the Apocalypse. And then you say, hey, come on, you changed names, but that's the same thing pretty much.
What's the meaning of what is the what would it be in the Apocalypse, the new name for these Lycans? Uratha?
Uratha, yes. Uratha are the Garo.
Okay.
That's the name that they call themselves as a breed. So the werewolf, they are the Uratha, and then in the Apocalypse, they are the Garo.
Okay.
Okay, and so they still got the first change. So at the moment of their lives, they're gonna receive the call of the spiritual world, and then they're gonna change for the first time. The same name, first change, pretty much the same thing. They get their auspices decided by Luna. That's the same idea as they did have in the Apocalypse. And then came another problem that everybody debated here in Brazil, which was about the tribes. At least as far as I know, the White Wolf has been changing everything into 5. So you've got 5 tribes. I guess you've got 5 clans, and then 5 whatever for mage and changelings and everything. So you've got 5 tribes for Forsaken. And here, what we understood was that the new tribes of the Forsaken, they were kind of mixing from the tribes that we already had in the Apocalypse. And that displeased like everybody.
Oh yeah.
because people, they were like, come on, we were promised something actually new, and this is just a rereading of things that we already had. You kind of mix things, but you see concepts of the old tribes on the new book, and then it I don't know, it was, oh really, come on, I want a new game. You promised me to give me a new game, so give me the new game, right?
They didn't need a new game, okay? I've been this
Yeah.
way since Requiem. There was no reason for what they did. None.
Well, there was reasons, and they had reasons, and they've done it.
Doesn't mean they were
But from
rational.
what Matheus, from what you've been saying, it sounds like they didn't get as creative with trying to do a new werewolf game as they did with some of the other lines. That they relied a little bit more on just rehashing the previous version.
Yeah, that's. I'm afraid I'm gonna. I'm a big Apocalypse fan, so I don't want to just trash the new book or
Yeah.
the new material. But that's exactly what I thought. It's like, oh no, come on, that's pretty much. I can do exactly this in the Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, just to give you some examples of the tribes. I mean, can I?
Go right ahead, please.
All right. So these tribes, they choose to follow one of the 5 ancient wolf spirits. We're gonna
The 5 children of Father Wolf.
Yes, exactly. So these 5 children will be kind of totems that they had in the apocalypse. But this is a good idea. I guess I always missed some wolf connection to the werewolf, because if you pick up the tribe, so they're gonna have like Rat, Pegasus, the Unicorn, Grandfather Thunder, and whatever. So you never had actually a wolf. You have the Great Fenris, but he's a wolf, but he's more like the personification of war. It's not a wolf per se. Even in the Red Talons, which are the Lupine tribe, their totem is the Griffin. So you say like, oh, come on, some wolves. So this is an idea that I really like. But so let's go through the tribes, and then I discuss a little bit of them, all right?
Go right ahead, please.
Our first tribe is the Blood Talons. So the tribe of Fenris Wolf. Come on, really, Fenris Wolf, from all the wolves you have in mythology again.
Yeah, they're going to go with the Norse one.
Yeah, and the Blood Talons, they promote the warrior and wolf aspects of the Uratha. So they has as a band to offer no surrender that you will not accept. They are pretty much ghetto Fenris. I mean, I read it and read and I read, and there was a small dwarf inside my mind saying like, this is ghetto Fenris. Mm-hmm. Those are ghetto Fenris. Those are ghetto Fenris. And it's like, oh yeah, ghetto Fenris. Okay. Then we go with the Bone Shadows. They are occultists, and they seek to restore the relations with the spirit courts with the guidance of their patron, which is the Death Wolf. And as they are banned, they have pay each spirit in kind. So you've got a very spiritual tribe here. And then you have kind of a mix of the Yuki-Tana and the Silent Striders, at least in my opinion. You have this allegiance to the Death Wolf, something related to death, and then this occultism and the spiritual side of the tribe. You can see this very clearly in the Yuki-Tana. Then we go with the Hunters in Darkness, which is something fun because the Uratha, they got something that they call the First Tongue, and the Hunters in Darkness in the First Tongue, they are Menina, which would be a translation for girl here in Brazil. But Anyway, so the Hunters in Darkness, they are the protectors of the Lochi, which is their spiritual centers. And yeah, the Lochi are the spiritual centers of the world. So they are the protectors of them. They follow the Black Wolf. They have as a ban, let no sacred space in your territory be violated. I can see very clearly
So the
here.
protectors of the Karns, essentially.
Yeah, essentially, yes. And we have the Black Furies and the Red Talons as well, with these a little bit of the Wendigo as well, with this idea of the protection of their own territory. Then we got the Ironmasters. They follow the teachings of the Red Wolf, and they embrace change and new ideas. They are kind of closer to the humanity, and they understand technology.
Yeah, kind of
and
glasswalkers, yeah.
Totally, yeah. A little bit glasswalkers, but glasswalkers usually they are in the high positions of society, so you can mix glasswalkers and a kind of a bone gnawers here. But you have this idea of closer to humanity and technology and stuff. And then in the end, you got the Stormlords, which they are the tribe of the Winter Wolf, and they are the leaders. They try it. They seek this leadership of the all Urarta through strength and noble example. They have the ban is allow no one to witness or to tend your weakness. And here, to me, this is a perfect combination of the Silver Fangs and the Shadow Lords. So probably I haven't said all the tribes. For example, the Fianna here, they're not quite well represented, or the Children of Gaia, or whatever. But
there's it looks like there's some pure tribes too. 5 more.
Yeah. You've got some pure tribes, which they are quite interesting, in my opinion, especially due to their backstory. But can we reach this in a sec?
Oh, yeah. No, I'm sorry. Didn't mean to throw you off, man.
No problem. Just to finish this with the 5 tribes. So I haven't mentioned all the tribes from the Apocalypse, but as you can see, their concepts, they are present in the new book through the tribes. So that's what at least here in Brazil, that's what the Apocalypse, the werewolf gamers, they would say, oh, you've got books, new books, they've got tribes, and then you read the tribes and you see that they are kind of the old ones, which is something that it's interesting. They are not connected as in the old book to that idea of genealogy or even the geography. It doesn't mean that in the Apocalypse, all Fianna, they must be born in, I don't know, Ireland or anything like this. But they got a little bit of Celt blood or something like that, right?
Okay.
And then this is something interesting, in my opinion, that you don't divide the tribes so geographically. And there is a kind of discussion of that, but it's not because you are a Stormlord that your fur must be black. That's different from the Shadow Lords, for example, or white, if we are comparing this to the Silver Fangs. So you can be any kind of wolf, you can be any kind of person, and you would fall in one of those tribes, if you decide to follow them, of course.
So the tribes are more of a social construct then.
Yeah, exactly.
Than a family bloodline as in Apocalypse.
Yes,
so it's a choice. So you choose which tribe you want to connect with.
Yes, it's something more connected to your philosophy, I would say.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah, that's kind of cool, I guess. And they also got the Ghost Wolves, who are the ones. They are not a tribe. They're not actually a tribe. They're kind of a collective term that the Urarta have for the ones who do not belong to a tribe. So they're kind of a Ronin from the Apocalypse. They don't have a tribal band. They don't have a tribal patron, and that's pretty much it. They have something in common, is that they don't belong to the Urarta society. So Ronin, it's written all over the pages, Ronin. So that was kind of difficult to, assimilate.
What about the Balehounds, since they're listed in the same as the Ghost Wolves?
The Balehounds, they are kind of enemies as far as I know. No?
I'm not. I haven't clicked on it because I'm trying not to open too many Windows, we tend to start getting glitches. So
As I know, the Balehounds, they had committed themselves to kind of the worst kind of spirits. I would say evil spirits, probably something related to violence and deception, right? And they commit acts, some I don't know, terrible acts. So they are more the black spiral dancers than the pure ones.
oh, okay.
Okay, because in the apocalypse, we've got 13 tribes, and those 13 tribes, they fight against the Black Spiral Dancers, who are corrupted and everything. So they, yeah, they deliver themselves to those urges of the worm, such as violence, the deception, degradation, and everything else. And then when you were checking on the Forsaken, you got the Ruatha, and the main enemies would be the pure ones. And then you create this association, but you're gonna see that the Balehounds, they are the ones connected to actually evil spirits. And this is something that really attracted me to the Forsaken. It's because the pure ones, they are more in a gray zone than the Black Spiral Dancers.
That's what it appears.
Yeah, because I guess it would be interesting if we go on the backstory of the Forsaken first, and then we get to the pure ones. Should we?
Go ahead.
Please. Okay.
No,
Fill us in.
This is you, dude.
Educational. It looks like we've got people in the chat that are familiar with Forsaken. They might know some of this background story more than us. But.
Yeah, well, here's while we're at this. Let me go ahead and do the shout-outs while we're in break here. Hi, Sabrina, FB. Good to see you. New Wave. And Metalith. That's a new one. Hey, welcome. If you've got questions, please put them up, because we'd be more than happy to try and get them answered for you. It's part of what we do here. So, back to you, Matt.
Okay. So, let's go through the legend of the Forsaken, which is quite rich. Although I have read a few books of that, I really like it. So, according to the legend of the Forsaken, we had first the world, and the world was called Pangaea. Okay, and although we have the same term as we do have in geography classes and stuff, they do not have a certain time or place for this term. The world was called Pangaea, and in this world you had a barrier between the spirit and the flesh world, quite of the gauntlet that we had in the apocalypse, but this barrier was very thin and very easy to travel from one world to the other, right?
Is that the Umbra, or is it similar to the Umbra?
Yeah, similar to the Umbra, because in the apocalypse lore, the world was one in the beginning. Spirit and flesh, they would share the same world, and then there is something which is the gauntlet. That's a creation of the Weaver that separates. You have the sundering that separates the world from the world of flesh and the world of spirits. Okay. Here, as far as I know, in the Forsaken legend, the world was created, but there was already a barrier, but this barrier was thin. All right? So far, so good. Okay. And then you had the spirit who would watch the balance between both worlds, and this spirit was Father Wolf, which is the most powerful warrior and hunter of his time. So he would go from one world to the other, and they would allow some spirits he would allow the spirits to remain in the spirit world, and not trespass this barrier. So the same way the humans and everything would stay in our world, let's call it like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was those who threatened this balance between the worlds. So these ones, they were chased and hunted by by the father wolf. And so you had Luna, who the spirit of the moon, again the same idea. Luna will travel the world in a body of flesh. Okay, so she had many people want to copulate with Luna. That's kind of bizarre, but she chose Father Wolf.
Okay.
And because he was such a great warrior and stuff. And then she gave birth to the first pack, children who were part human, part wolf, and part spirit. And those were the ancestors of all Uratha, and they would assist their father, again Father Wolf, in all his duties. But as everything goes, Godfather Wolf, he grew weaker, okay, and he was not able to fulfill his duties again. So, as we have in a normal wolf pack, usually when you got a weak alpha, another one will replace him, or this alpha can just get out of the pack and die of the with weather and time and everything, or or his cubs would kill him because you are the weak link of our pack. So his children start to see his weakness, and they began to rebel against their father, and they killed him. And when Father Wolf died, the barrier between the worlds became very strong, and so traveling from one world to the other was only possible in very special places. These special places, the Loki, I'm going to do a translation for the Apocalypse players, the Cairns. Mother Luna, she cursed all the children that she gave birth, and so because of this, you got silver as harmful to all the Uratha. Well, with the death of Father Wolf, somebody needed to take up his place, and that's what his children did. Okay, so you have the Uratha. That's pretty much what they do. They are the warriors who hunt trespassers of the spirit world to our real world. That's pretty much in their essence. Okay, and the 5 kids of Father Wolf, they gave birth to more cubs and etc. So you have the generation of the 5 tribes we've already mentioned. But there were some kids, some cubs, who didn't agree with killing Father Wolf, and the ones who did, they are the pure. So the pure ones, they are the descendants from the primal wolves who chose not to rise up and kill Father Wolf, and they blame the Forsaken. Okay, they blame the Uratha for the loss of the world that they had once, and they see as they see that the extermination, the killing of all the Uratha is a holy crusade. So they have bigger numbers, and they have a kind of a culture of hate towards the Uratha that move them. They are okay with the humanity, okay, but they don't feel that they have the duty to defend the humans from spirits. So they are the spirits are kind of let's say friendlier to them, I guess.
Okay.
And I would say that's it. They are more, and they do not have auspices.
Oh, okay, yeah, I saw that.
As far as I can, yeah. And they also have this idea of the end justifies the means, kind of similar to what the Shadow Lords have. And then they got also some tribes. Okay, they are not a uniform group. They are, as far as I remember, Peter, you said about 5 tribes, but I remember only 3. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really cannot remember the other 2. Maybe some of the listeners can help us here. The tribes are the fire touched. They follow the rabbit wolf, and they have they have a kind of a religious way of dealing with things, okay? And they are more numerous than all the other tribes. Then you got the Ivory Claws. They follow the Silver Wolf, and they are more obsessed with purity, and they see themselves as most pure werewolves and the ones who are the rightful leaders of the pure ones. You can see Silver Fangs all over here. Then the Predator Kings. That's it. The Predator Kings, they follow the Dire Wolf, and they believe that they are the top of the food chains, the ultimate predators, if you wish.
Their name kind of gives it away.
Yeah. They kind of try to abandon or forget their human side. So you have the Red Talons more clearly than in the 5 tribes before, now I forgot the name of that shit.
Which one?
Hunters in Darkness. Hunters in Darkness. Hunters in Darkness, I said that they were kind of a blending of Black Furies and Red Talons, but here with the pure ones, you can see them, the Predator Kings, as the Red Talons more clearly.
Gotcha.
So those are the pure ones. That's where they come from, and that's what they want. They want to exterminate everybody just because you made something wrong with our father, so suffer now.
New Wave Middleth mentioned something too, is that it was and I don't know for sure, but he says this was Father Wolf's last fight with the Spider Hag that weakened him. With the Aslu, I believe, because there are some creatures that they are exactly like the Ratha, but they are hybrids of spirit and flesh, man and animal, and etc. But they have another connection, not with Father Wolf, but with the spirits that were hunted by him, and they escape total destruction. Usually they are animals with kind of a hive community, okay, because they escaped the destruction by splitting themselves, and so each of these inhabited an animal, and so we've got the hosts. Most of the times, as far as I know, they are the Aslu, which are spider, Ananasi, something like this. They are word spiders maybe. And the Bashilu, which are the rat monsters, the man rat, let's say. And they work by weakening or strengthening the barrier between the worlds. So you can have negative effects in both cases, because sometimes you are just losing your spiritual connection, or you are making it easier for evil spirits to come to our world. And I guess that's it about the pure,
and the Aslu, as far as I know.
By the way, New Wave mentioned that it wasn't necessarily the loss of Father Wolf, but it was because they lost Pangea over this bullshit.
Oh yeah. But one thing's kind of connected to the other, so I guess not only he's correct. Not only the death of Father Wolf. I'm sorry.
Of course, you haven't been here with her yet. But she's actually become, her and Sabrina. They're here for pretty much every show. Oh, it's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's good. Some loyal listeners.
Absolutely.
But I would say that the loss of Father Wolf is kind of connected to the loss of Pangea for sure. So one thing led to the other.
Okay, I'm also looking a little further down the page here. Apparently, the Forsaken seem to be a bit more antagonistic towards the other members of the world, vampires, mages, etc.
I don't know how you can get more antagonistic.
It seems like
I think both game lines are pretty warlike when they deal with other supernaturals.
That's true, and they do tend to get, because anything that isn't werewolf is worm tainted or something.
Yeah. Yeah, but here I would say that the Ratha would see other supernatural beings probably as something like, I don't know, some spirit that has done something wrong or anything like this. So why we've got vampires is just not natural. Maybe there is a spirit possessing him or something like this. Usually werewolves in White Wolf games, they seem to be quite stupid, you know?
I don't know, man. In the little bit of the lore that I've read, they're not dumb. They're nasty, but they're not dumb.
Yeah, not dumb, but stupid, because everything which has gone wrong because of their own doings, you know? In Apocalypse and in the Forsaken. For example, in Apocalypse, we can say the Imperium, the War of Rage, I don't know, the Sundering, not the Sundering actually, but all of this idea that Gaia has just been dying and everything. It's because they chose the wrong course of action. And here in the Forsaken, you've got the same thing. So they chose to kill Father Wolf. They saw that was necessary, okay. But by doing this, the world they knew has just gone wrong. So,
yeah. Okay, Metalith, what do you disagree about? Kind of curious, because I thought there's a couple of things above that, so I have no idea. And if that's true, if it might help out with the conversation here, please enlighten us. I would very much like to hear that. And no sarcasm intended either.
Maybe they're disagreeing with New Wave, saying that the pure are crazy bastards.
Yeah, I know, but okay, that may be true. I have no idea for sure because, like I said, I now know more about Apocalypse than I do Forsaken. That's for sure.
And to think 2 years ago you didn't know much about Apocalypse either.
No, I didn't. And it's these shows that, have, like I said, it's a learning experience for us too.
Oh, definitely.
Because
Metalith says that the Uratha is amenable to other supernatural.
I'm sorry, I couldn't listen to you, Jake.
Okay. So Metalith mentioned that Uratha to them is more amenable to other supernatural. So they have an easier time of making a positive connection with other supernaturals over the Garou.
Oh, okay. All right. Now that is a change because they don't. You're right. The Garou in general do not like the other supernaturals. They don't seem to really care much about the Fae,
because they don't. Their whole focus is different, and so they're trying to protect humanity. So any alliances that they can make, I could see where it would make sense that, I mean, especially something like a mage or a changeling that would be able to help them in their battle against spirit beings to protect humanity. I could see where that would be a lot easier to come by. And it would actually, now that I even say that, it'd be really interesting to have a game where you have changelings and Uratha working together, helping each other with their extra dimensional enemies.
That could be fun.
Because they would definitely give each other an edge on the competition.
Oh, yeah.
I guess about this crossover things, I've got two points of view. The first one, it's kind of about the background of the story.
Did I lose connection?
I'm sorry?
People hear me?
Still hear you.
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, we can.
He may have lost his sound.
Probably.
Hello?
Jake?
Hey, yeah. Hi.
All right.
Yeah, we lost you there for a second.
Oh, okay. I think I figured out what caused that. Where did I leave off in my rant?
Sorry, I completely spaced it.
Oh, I guess you had just finished. I'm not sure. You were saying about the changeling and
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
werewolves,
So I
like
got through. I got through my
the
whole rant and then
yeah, I
faded
guess
out.
so.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I
And
just
then,
thought I'm just like that would be an interesting concept for a chronicle. I think them ganging up on their extra dimensional enemies.
that could
Yeah,
be fun.
that's so. But about crossovers, I've got 2 points of view. One of them, it's connected to the background stories of both games, because when you pick up the Werewolf the Apocalypse background, you're gonna see that you got Gaia as kind of a goddess, something like this. So the werewolves, they got some. It's I don't know. I would say some religious zeal, so it's something very fanatical, way more than what we have in the Forsaken. Because of this, we don't like vampires, mages, changelings, wraiths, or hunters, or demons, or any other thing. The werewolves are the only thing that matters for a Garou, because we are correct and we have to protect the way he wanted us to do so. So because of this simple idea, I guess that's why it's way more difficult to put other beings, other supernatural beings, in a game of werewolf or any other stuff like that. So first one is about this background. You don't have this something so fanatical. Maybe the pure ones, which you can play with them, but that's not the first idea of the game. But you're not so fanatical. The Ratha are not so fanatical as the Garou. So alliances, they would be okay to do, right?
Right?
And the other thing, I guess, is that this is something more about mechanics, I would say. White Wolf, since the beginning of the books, they said that it's okay for you to do a crossover and everything like this. So you got 5 dots, all the creatures, and you're gonna use the same dice. The system is the same, and etc. But it doesn't work. The system, if you try to storytell a game full of creatures, the system will break at sometime,
I think I can do it.
because there are quite things that they say that it's vampire core book, and it's another way in werewolf and a third way in mage, for example. So whenever they're fighting each other, or they're facing each other in any other way, so sometimes things tend to get confusing on a game, on a tabletop game. On this new series of game, as I can see, it's it's easier to do the crossover. So even the ideas of the creatures, of the supernatural beings, it's closer to the crossover than before. Even if you try
You're talking about
mage and
the 20th anniversary stuff.
no, about the Forsaken and
Oh.
Requiem and
Oh, okay.
Awakening and stuff. Because on the old game, it's more difficult, in my opinion. It's harder to do a crossover with vampires or mages or werewolves. So you choose the being.
Difficult,
You
yes,
know?
but impossible, no.
No, not impossible for sure. But here, the mechanics, the mechanics talk better with the idea of crossover than before. And so, because of this, the philosophy of the game, in my point of view, the philosophy of the games, they get closer to each other, and so this connection between beings, it's easier.
Okay. By the way, New Wave brought up something I'd like to hear if you have any comment about is she says also each of the Forsaken tribes have a particular type of prey they like to hunt.
A particular kind of prey.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
damn it.
she's saying she thinks the Ironmasters are sometimes fond of hunting vampires since they're often in cities.
Uh, Let me just take a look at my book here.
Yeah, break out the book, yo.
Yeah, because I really cannot remember that. Damn it.
I'm finding, looking that up too, that looks like something that came with the second edition.
Oh, okay.
The focus and purpose of the tribes has shifted to what you hunt. Ideas and beliefs of each totem are fairly broad. Some join lodges, groups within Forsaken Society with very specific agendas. Most lodges are subgroups within particular tribes. Members have to pass some sort of strict initiation, yada, yada, yada. So Blood Talons, their chosen prey is other werewolves. Often, but not always, the pure tribes. Bone Shadows, their chosen prey.
I didn't have that.
Their chosen prey is spirits that do not remain in the shadow. Hunters in Darkness, their chosen prey is the hosts, who are mockeries of flesh and spirit. Ironmasters, their chosen prey is humanity, including its groups and institutions. Stormlords, their chosen prey are the spirit urged and spirit claimed.
Oh. All right. So, apparently it was second edition.
Yeah, we didn't have that in Brazil. I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, that's okay.
Man, it's all right. What do you think?
But not my fault.
Oh, yeah. New Wave's got her second edition PDF open.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if maybe there's a specific lodge that the Ironmasters might focus on those who are mockeries of humans, like vampires. That would be an interesting subgroup in such an arrangement, I guess. But
yeah.
Personally speaking, I don't know if I like the idea of putting this concept of hunters like more clearly on the tribes and stuff, but I don't know if I like the idea of each one of them having I don't know, a preferable enemy or a prey or something like this. Okay, that each one of them will have their own tactics and places in which they hunt and things like this. So, for example, the Ironmasters, they will probably have more connection to vampires and stuff. But this idea of we fight the vampires, I don't know if it pleases me. Yeah, because you are hunters. You must fight everything that's gonna come out of the spirit world. So just do it.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that you can't. If you like steak, you're gonna try and eat steak every chance you get. You're not gonna always get steak, but you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. Especially with the example of the steak, that's something that I really appreciate.
Yeah, right.
But I think I digress.
Makes a lot of sense. Okay, so New Wave said that it's the Hunters in Darkness that could go after vampires because they would qualify under their parameters. So okay. So here's something that popped in my head a little while ago. Okay, yeah, it just comes as a suggestion. It's not enforced, she says. So something that popped in my head that I was curious about, just from skimming through the wiki and the conversations we've had so far. Are there wolf-born Uratha, or are they all from humans? And is Métis a thing in Forsaken? Like, can Uratha interbreed?
They are all from humans. You know, that's actually one of their Oath of the Moon. They have that which are their laws. So one of them is that the Ratha shall cleave to human, because they are forbidden to mate with each other or with wolves, and they are kind of obliged to reproduce. So
no medicine at all.
That's another thing that they have different from the Apocalypse, which is kind of cool, I guess, because the game here is more centered in humans, especially, and that's gonna favor the crossover, in my opinion. Yeah. Because the only breed, because in the Apocalypse, we had the Matheus, the Lupus, and the Homid, but here all of them, they were born from humans. So that's the idea that they have. You know?
Okay.
So you said it's forbidden. So they're not capable of doing it at all. Because I know the idea is in Apocalypse, Métis are forbidden as well, but they still happen. So, but you're saying that it's like physically impossible for them to breed with another werewolf.
Yeah, in the apocalypse, they are not only forbidden, but there is a punishment because when you mate with another girl, you're gonna have a Matheus, and he's gonna be somehow misshapen, spiritually or mentally or whatever, right?
Yeah.
But in Forsaken, they're forbidden, but they are shit. As far as I know, okay, that's at least as far as I know. Sometimes you've got some tragic tales of love between their own people and stuff, but they're not gonna reproduce.
Sorry.
I mean,
I get a giggle out of some of these comments in the chat. I'm sorry, I can't hold it in.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
they are gonna if two Rotha mate, the results gonna be painful and horrible. The female is gonna suffer a lot with all the symptoms of pregnancy, and she's got kind of a fake pregnancy. You know, it produces only a gigantic flow of blood.
Ew.
At least in the physical world, but in the spiritual world, it's born a cub. It's kind of a spirit wolf, which is wild and wicked, but he has some human intelligence. It's called Unihar, which is kind of the spectral cub, something like this. And this spectral cub is gonna run to the corners of the spiritual world. Yep. And since from his birthday birth on, he's not going to be affected by any right or any gift that the Ratha may have. And sometimes the Ratha fight those Uniha, but when these spirits are older, and they are kind of a very terrifying enemies that they're going to find, the most terrifying enemies according to the own book.
Okay, so they create a foul, evil creature for their sin.
Yeah, but a spiritual creature.
Yes.
Creature.
But especially for a species devoted to protecting humanity from the spirit world, that would be worlds terrible.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Horrible in a way I don't.
So
even
I could see, So that would definitely be something to a lot more to discourage those activities than just, oh, your kid's going to be
messed up.
But let me ask you a question now. Let me change roles here.
For sure.
What kind of idea do you prefer? This Uniha idea in which you're going to create a spiritual wolf, or the idea of the Matheus from the Apocalypse?
Okay, well, I'm a big fan of playing Métis. So I don't know if that's a fair question for me, but what
that's
I do,
not.
I do like both concepts. I like the idea of there being these terrifying spirit monsters that were born of sin. That just on so many levels narratively that just excites me. But I am a big fan of Métis and like playing Métis, so I wouldn't trade them.
Okay, probably gonna assimilate. You know,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, that's gonna be an interesting idea.
But I do like that idea, whatever they're called, the ghost child. That would be an interesting idea if you were running an apocalypse chronicle, and that could be one of the signs of the apocalypse. Is there's a chance of, instead of a Métis, that you're going to have this sign of the worm be born instead. That would be taking things to an extreme that would be a good sign. Yeah, dark place and a sign of the end, and something nasty to throw on the players without them expecting.
That's
Especially
interesting because keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh well, I like is especially like like with the Eye of the Worm, and there was supposedly the perfect Métis born.
Yeah,
it was one of the signs of Gehenna.
And
and then it's interesting. What if the perfect matey, as you said, it's just the spirit, because he is 100% spirit, not 50% spirit.
Yeah. But the other thing too that popped in my head here as we're talking about this is the idea that so the developers said that they had that idea because they had heard and seen on message boards and stuff that because Métis were sterile, there were a lot of Métis PCs that were taking advantage of the fact that they were sterile. And so they thought this would be an interesting way to introduce this concept is you could have, if you had two Métis PCs who were going at it all the time, get them knocked up and have them freak out, and now they're part of this prophecy. So the idea being that, well, what if at the time of the end, Métis breeding with Métis would create these abomination ghost children, and now you've got like cairns and tribes all over the world that these guys have been in the habit of shacking up with each other, and now they're giving birth to evil monstrosities because of the curse of the worm. It just would put a whole dark aspect to the fall.
Okay, I feel you. It's more of a story of personal horror at that. With that,
yes,
that's the
yeah,
way it's always been.
Well, and it brings the impending doom close to home, because it's not just big faceless mega corporation is spilling oil on sacred lands. It's my pack mates are accidentally creating worm-infested spirits. What are we going to do about that now?
Yeah, you just gave me a kicking ass story idea, you know.
There you go. That's also what we try to do.
Yeah.
No, I'm dead serious. We actually have influenced a few games here and there over the last 2 years. And I get a kick out of when somebody comes back and one of the guests on the show will message me, I just used that idea we were talking about on the show and it worked great. Kind of thing. Right. It's awesome. Right. I do. I think it's a lot of fun. And I'm glad to see Metalith's going to be back. She, unless you tell us, we have no idea, by the way, is going to start listening to the show on a more regular basis. And now, also, we've got 2 years worth of shows behind us, man. So go listen to some of the other stuff. Some of the earlier stuff was a bit rough before we really got our theme down, kind of thing. But so we've been talking completely Forsaken here. Now I want to talk about, now we have had a couple of crossover things here with, the difference between the two. And like I said, I'm not trying to rag on either one, because I actually kind of like Apocalypse now. It sounds like a lot of fun. But I'm going, what good things did they do as far as the switch from Apocalypse? And of course, you've mentioned a couple of things that were not so hot.
To me, the good things that they did, I really like the idea of the background story. I really like it, although I guess it could fit just right in as one of the legends of the werewolves from the Apocalypse, It's like, okay, it's another way to see the world creation myth. I don't know, but it's a very nice story. I really like it. As I said, I also like the idea of having wolves as totem spirits in a way of the tribes. That's something that really pleased me. And they did also some things such as now the warm form, the war form, the Garu, as it's called in the Forsaken. You cannot assume that form and keep it in, I don't know how, as many turns as you want.
Oh,
You've got
stacking rage.
Yes, exactly. So if you're in the Guru form, it's for battle and only. So you cannot actually think right and things like this, which is something that the Werewolf the Apocalypse mentioned. But if you see the illustrations and the art of the book, so you can see some Krynos doing, I don't know, some origami or braiding or, braiding their own fur. And it's like, oh, come on, that's so stupid.
Fair, those
If you
could
pick
have
up...
been Métis too.
I'm sorry?
Because I said, to be fair, those could have been Métis doing those activities, because that would be their normal form.
Yeah, but it's, I don't know, if you pick up, for example, the Stargazer's Tribe book, so you got the Krynos in full form, and the guy's painting, and I don't know, the kind of a Japanese symbol, and then like, really?
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about doing the calligraphy. Yeah, that seems a bit weird.
Yeah, but I really like this idea. And also, there is another idea, which is, at least here in Brazil, the storytellers, they do not approach the game as it is, I would say. Because the Apocalypse game seemed to be kind of epic and worldwide because you have to save the world. But the main idea, at least as I can see, the main idea is for you to protect your own territory, your Karen and everything. For example, we've got the Sept of the Green in New York, and to those, at least in the idea of the Apocalypse game, if New York entire disappear from the map, but the central perk would be here, there would be no problem for those werewolves. They want their own territory to be safe. Who cares about the rest of the city or what's happening in the other corners of the world? We care about here. And that's something that Forsaken has done better, because the idea is in the pack. You've got your own pack, you've got to protect your own territory and stuff. You've got this in the Apocalypse as well, but it seems to me that storytellers and the books and everything, they sometimes deviate from that, and they're going to give you the wrong idea. So this idea of having the game focus on a pack, to me, it's something really good. And you're going to lose this epic everything that, so sometimes, werewolves, we got to save the world, Captain Planet or stuff like this. That's not the idea.
Okay. Yeah, Captain Planet with fur and teeth. I like it.
Yeah.
No, here's something that just popped into my head, and I don't know why I've never mentioned it before. Vampires have to hunt because that's their sustenance. Okay. Do werewolves have to hunt, or is it just a byproduct of the change?
It's one of their tenets. The first tenet of the Oath of the Moon is the wolf must hunt, because that's the idea that the Ratha, they have to fulfill the...
No, I'm talking about Apocalypse, dude. Sorry, I switched over to Apocalypse on you for a second. Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Okay, well, so I'm going to make the parallel here. In the Forsaken, they must hunt. They have to fulfill the role of Father Wolf, and that's what they do. They're hunters. In the Apocalypse, they are warriors. So the simple changing of concept changed a lot in the mindset of the game. So in the Apocalypse, they do not have to hunt. They hunt because that's something natural to them, right? So they're going to battle against their own enemies. They're not going to hunt these enemies. Can you see the difference?
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was just curious as to the requirements, is if it was necessary as far as their, because like I said, kindred have to hunt. Well, they don't have to, because they can, own a blood bank. But that's beside the point. They still need the blood. And I was just curious as to if the lupines, I know it's a derogatory term, if they were required to do so, as vampires do. Because it seems like the only two in the old system that would have to, by nature, I guess, would be werewolves and vampires. Mages don't hunt. Hunters hunt, but they don't need to hunt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. In Apocalypse, what they do is like one of the tenants is like they must battle the worm wherever it dwells and whenever they find it, right? So that's the idea, to battle, to fight. And here you have the wolf must hunt in the Forsaken. So I would say that in the Apocalypse game, werewolves, they do not have to hunt. It's just something natural to them, but it's not. They're not obliged to.
Oh, okay. And by the way, Middle, that's funny. Eco-terrorists for Gaia. That's some funny shit,
Not exactly like this, but okay. I'll accept the shade.
All right, we're a little over 1 hour into this. We've still got about 50 minutes left. If you got questions, y'all, we do love the comments. Please keep them coming. But if you've got questions, please throw them out there. And just for my benefit, I noticed that that Metalith is a guy, by the way, and that he's been listening to some of the old stuff. Just as a buy or leave, how did you find some? I know earlier on it is a little rougher than the stuff we've got lately, but I'm just curious as to a new listener who's been going through the archive. I'm kind of curious as to what you think, what you like, and if you've got any suggestions, we're happy to take them. Hey, and if you have a particular forte as far as the World of Darkness is concerned, we'd love to have you on as a guest. Wouldn't we, Jacob?
Yeah.
We want to mess with everybody.
I would say that you would, because I'm here because of that.
Yeah, but no, dude, you were the one of the three people when I first came up with this concept and posted it to the OWD channel. You were one of the three people that responded.
Yeah, I would say that I listened to your howl from Brazil, but as a vampire, you wouldn't be able to howl. But
no. And I do. I get your posts on Facebook, and I have to translate them, and they're all cool. But I would love to listen to your show, but I wouldn't get a bit of it. I'm sorry, but it's true. I don't speak Portuguese.
There's no problem. There's no problem. So, okay, keep going.
Yeah. Here's the question from the Peanut Gallery. New Wave wants to know: did they make silver deadlier for werewolves in Forsaken?
It's deadly, the same way as it is to the ones in the Apocalypse, The same idea, that's the curse from Luna and stuff. I'm not very familiar with the mechanics of the game, so I would not be able to say about aggravated damage or what kind of damage silver.
Oh, it's always ag. If it's like fire for vampires, it's always ag.
Okay. So it's deadly, but I wouldn't. I don't think that it's deadlier. Even the cause is pretty much the same. A curse from Luna and stuff.
Wait a minute. One of the actual tribes is a bit more. Hold on. I'm trying to find it. I saw it just a minute ago.
Oh, from the pure ones, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. From the pure ones.
It means they have no auspices and more susceptible to silver than the Forsaken.
Yeah, the pure ones, they are the pure ones. They are the ones who are, how can I say, they're more susceptible maybe to silver, due to because Luna has granted them no favor, so they have no allspices, and because of that, they are more susceptible to silver than the Forsaken ones, than the Uratha.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
So let's kick back over to some what is it? Freaking Apocalypse. Jeez, I can't even keep all this stuff straight. And we've only had a couple of werewolf or vampire references, and the clan that must not be named doesn't even come up. I'm actually pretty pleased.
Yeah, that's good. You've been improving yourself in the
I have
werewolf
tried.
scenario.
Yeah, I really have. I mean, but I also find that it seems to rank pretty high up on people's favorite lists of clans. I'm be honest, it's because back in the day they were bad. They were bad.
Yeah.
But no,
Let
they
me
go
let
ahead.
me ask you guys another question. That's something that a personal feeling that I had while reading The Forsaken. I know that you, Peter, you're a big fan of Vampire, right? And Jacob, what would you say that's your favorite old World of Darkness game?
I'd say vampires probably the one I'm strongest or most familiar in. But I'm actually a big fan for vampire, werewolf, and demon for the
Okay.
old games.
Yeah, he's a big
So,
demon fan.
All
It's
right.
kind of nice to have
Um,
him. Now, what was my question again?
No, it's because no, I know that you're a vampire fan, but while reading The Forsaken, I saw some glimpses of new ideas and stuff. On the other hand, there were lots of things that they just derived from the old game and things that I have already mentioned. But the idea that I had is that this new game, it could be completely done in the world in the old scenario, because if you focus on the packs, if you focus on your territory in this dealing with spirits and stuff in the hunt, as with the idea of a savage horror game, you would be able to create perfectly the Forsaken scenario. So to me, I don't mean that I don't want to say that the book was useless, not this, but it's only one parcel of the game that we had previously. So Apocalypse to me, it's like a bigger game than the Forsaken, and then you can find some core of the Forsaken in the Apocalypse. Did you have the same opinion while reading, I don't know, Requiem or Demon the Descent or something like this?
I did read some of the stuff for Requiem, and I mean, I was only 10 pages in and got very pissed off. I was like, "Holy shit! What the hell happened to all the clans?" And then, they turned us into fucking mages. What the hell? So yeah, that was my introduction to the Chronicles, and did not like it at all.
with Requiem, there were some there's a lot of things that you can, just like you said, with taking the themes and ideas from Forsaken to Apocalypse. Because honestly, any Apocalypse games I've played, we've pretty much just focused on our pack in our territory, and battling the worm in our backyard. It didn't really reach that big global, let's travel to the Amazon to fight monsters kind of thing that I know other
Okay.
games have done. I mean,
Yeah,
that
but
might
most vampire
that's
games
still
are all in
that's
one
still
city.
that's still in your backyard. I understand, but for some of us, that's a little out of the way for
Oh
many.
yeah. Well, the
Um,
Amazon is way far from here. Way far from here.
but I did like the way that they rehashed some of the things. Like they took some of the core concepts with aspects of Masquerade that I enjoy. So I like the Sabbat. I like some of the things that they've done with the Bali, and I like in how they
You do like your
basically
Infernalists, don't you?
they chopped up a lot of the concepts from those two and created the seven, and they created the hand, and it I liked their different takes, but again, it's stuff that you could easily incorporate into Masquerade. I one of my favorite books that came out for Requiem is the translation guide, where it tells
Okay.
you on how you can incorporate things from Requiem into your Masquerade, or how you can incorporate things from Masquerade into Requiem. I really enjoyed that, and I've used that in both Masquerade and Requiem games. Demon the Descent is could not be a different take on the concept from the Fallen. Like they totally, like, Requiem and Forsaken were very similar to their forebears. By the time they got to Demon, they like things were like way different. Demon the Fallen is like, you know, Supernatural seasons 5 on, and the Lucifer and Constantine and all, you know, a lot of these other The Prophecy, a lot of these other movies and TV shows and stuff about fallen angels and everything. And Demon the Descent is Dark City and the Matrix and that kind of a idea of where basically, because by then they had already made the God Machine concept and incorporated that into games. Yep. And they went, well, okay, so basically Demons and Demon Descent are like the Merovingi and all those other rogue programs in the Matrix sequels. Is they're basically their beings that were functioning for the God Machine, and they, for whatever reason, just stopped following their programming, and now they've gone rogue, and they can kind of see, they understand how everything works, and you're basically using magic to hack reality, and it's got a very Dark City Matrix kind of feel to it. So it's very, very, very different from Demon the Fallen, which is very literally demons coming from hell that are fallen angels and possessing people and all this kind of stuff. So,
oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I'm Metalith says he doesn't have a problem being a guest, and he likes Demon. So we haven't done a compare and contrast Fallen yet, huh?
Geist is another.
And Geist, yeah.
Is another. It's very different than Wraith. The Sin Eaters are very different from Wraith. They kind of combined some vague concepts of Wraith and some vague concepts from Old World of Darkness Mummy, and incorporated those concepts and kind of created a new game. And Promethean and Beast are like totally unique and have no Old World of Darkness.
Yeah, that I do know, but you know, and I see that there is a Mummy the Curse, and I'm like, we find it really difficult to fill 2 hours.
It is similar to Resurrection. Mummy is still similar to the Old World.
Okay, but Demon the Descent, if we could do a Fallen and Descent show, that'd be great.
There's actually a Facebook group I'm part of that is Fallen and Descent together. There is a translation guide for it as well, but I haven't gotten that. But I did one of the last Kickstarters that I actually funded was for the Demon the Descent. So I've got the hardcover from the Kickstarter for that.
Didn't we do a Lost show? Yeah, we did with Victor and Jessica. Yeah, I was apparently New Wave.
Yeah, you know what? No, New Wave is right too. That the Lost is fairly different from the Dreaming too.
Oh yeah,
like they use some of the same names, but there's very, very, very different in. Whereas Forsaken and Requiem, they borrowed heavily a lot from the previous flagships.
Oh yeah, Metalith. I'm a big fan of Mummy. They are the most underused OP characters in game. I think they're great.
I've been having a lot of fun trying to translate mummies because for the LARP that I'm running, I have Giovanni and Sedite as the main clans, and so I've got some mummy antagonists. So I've been trying to translate the mummy rules from tabletop to the LARP rules so that I can incorporate them in game. And
that's a bit of a
They've been very interesting adversaries, but we are totally getting off topic now, I think.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It happens, man. We're 3/4 of the way through this already, so we tend to drop into some strangeness too. About now. So I mean, and I think oddly enough, I think some of the shows are better for it.
Oh yeah,
Some shows it's kind of hard to fill 2 hours. Like I said, I would find a very, very, very hard time filling. We had a hell of a time trying to fill 2 hours for just Mummy.
Yeah.
And I think, Jake, with you, man, you might be hip to doing a demon show, huh?
Oh, for sure. Didn't we have a demon show?
Yes, we did a demon show, but we haven't done a compare and contrast for demon yet. Yeah. And since there is another, there is a New World of Darkness version of demon. Why can't we do that? I would think it'd be fun.
It would be fun for sure. Okay, I got a question for Matheus. Now, I just tried looking it up to see if I could find, because we were talking about hunting and preferred prey, and Peter had mentioned, asking if they had to hunt, like vampires have to hunt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, there's something about eating hearts, though, isn't there? That in Forsaken, that like they can regain essence or something if they eat hearts.
Yes, let me just check that.
I remember that in the back of my mind, and I'm trying to find it on the wiki, because I remember that was one of the things I heard that about Forsaken that I thought was interesting, that was something that wasn't in Apocalypse, that they had incorporated into Forsaken, because that is like a very common werewolf mythos.
Yeah, enough we go for essence. Let me just to be clear. Okay, essence is kind of a gnosis thing, okay? Because you use that to activate gifts or a fetish or even enter the spiritual world. Yep.
Okay.
Some of the ways to recover this essence is by checking the moon for the first time, the moon of your auspices or something, from the Loki, which are the Karns in a way, or when you devour lupine or human flesh, not only hearts but flesh, and then you're gonna recover an essence point to each health level that you cause to your victim. Okay.
Yeah, he's also apparently a huge harmony sin.
Yeah. So, but whenever you do this, so you've got this problem with harmony. You have this problem with harmony as well, because that's one of the tenets of the Oath of the Moon. You should not eat flesh of humans.
Yeah, but everything else is free game, huh?
Yeah, in a way.
Including other guru?
Let me just be clear on that. Yeah, you cannot eat the flesh of human and wolf on the tenant, right? But by doing so, you've got some harmony problems, because you're gonna, I don't know, lose your character or anything like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So still, the idea of hunting, that's not, I don't know. Well, you're not supposed to hunt your own breed, maybe. Okay, yeah, in the harmony there is a scene hierarchy in which hunting human beings or wolves to feed. So you're gonna throw your harmony, your morality dice in order to check if you lose it or not.
Well, that actually also points out a big difference between the two. So they actually still have a morality scale in Forsaken.
Except it's called harmony, huh?
But it's still a form of morality. That's, like vampires have humanity, humans have humanity. So Uritha have harmony, but in Apocalypse, they didn't give a rat's ass. Once you became a werewolf, you were moral free.
Oh, okay.
Yes, in a way, because your morality would be connected only to the Garo society.
Yeah.
In the
And what
apocalypse.
is verboten for one group is not for another.
Yeah. And here, if you lose morality, if you lose harmony, I'm sorry, if you lose harmony, so the lower your harmony, the harder it is for you to interact with spirits. Okay, and then you're gonna behave quite oddly as well. Okay, but in the apocalypse, you do not have this. In a way, to me, this harmony is a kind of a rating of humanity that the Ratha now have, if you compare them to vampires from the Masquerade, for example. So you're trying to control the characters a little bit more and to put them in a way like, okay, you cannot just do whatever you want, like, oh, I'm gonna kill people or anything like this because I'm a werewolf. Something that would be okay, acceptable, let's say, in the apocalypse game, if of course you do not transgress the rules and the laws of the litany, which is the base of the Garo nation.
Yeah.
Okay. Shit, now I can't type in
Yeah.
chat. Damn it. No, I'm sorry. It's just this is. I think we're actually gonna do a demon show next. I think that would be. I was
Next
gonna
on the block.
hold Jake after class anyway to try and work out the next few shows.
Medalith has already contacted us on Facebook too about it. So.
Okay, then yeah. All right, we're gonna keep him. I want to do a demon show. Shit, we haven't done one in a while.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna listen to that.
Okay, cool. Because now all we need to do is get a second guest for that one. Because as I mentioned, the Metalith, he's more familiar with Descent than, and you know, as I mentioned, we try to get an expert. Can you hear the quotation marks? For
Yeah.
each. So, and oh yeah, see, I knew New Wave would like that. She seems to be. She's not played it, but she seems to like Demon a lot.
Oh, we can also include the Inferno book that they had for New World of Darkness as well, because
Oh.
they when they first came out with the main three, they did a World of Darkness supplement book called Inferno, and it dealt with demons as spirits of sin, because they dealt with like virtue and vice and all that stuff. But then later for Descent is a very different take on demons, but it does actually reference on how you can incorporate the spirits from Inferno into a Descent game as well. So
Oh, okay.
I have that book as well. So
Awesome.
yeah,
All
there you
right,
go.
so I'm gonna go ahead and pencil us in here for at the end of the show. For what do we got? 2 weeks from tonight is
2 weeks. Yeah.
the 6th. No, yeah, the 6th of March. Yeah,
Wow.
double check me.
February, not March.
Thank you. See, like I said, double check me. I'm kind of sidetracked here. I've got about 12 things going on. I'm trying. We had a bit of a glitch there for a minute. We lost some frame rate, and so I wanted to make sure we were still okay. And I get side. That's when Matt was asking me the question. You know, one for each of us, and I was like, holy shit, I hope I can, keep this thing running. Man, no, there's a lot going on in my desktop right now. I'm just saying. There's a lot of shit going on here, because the technical side of this doesn't just fucking happen. Just saying.
That's true.
Well, no, the reason why we switched over from Skype was because the new version of Skype is 64-bit only. They stopped supporting 32-bit operating systems. So until I get a 64-bit operating system, I can't use Skype anymore. But, everything else seems to be working okay. And Google Hangout seems to have a bit better audio quality. I've
Oh, yeah.
noticed. So, we're not getting as much dropout and whatnot as we would normally get with Skype, which is kind of fun. I like that. Anytime anything goes good, I like it. I really do. So, all right. So, where are we at? All right. So, how much of Apocalypse did get carried over, you think?
Oh. Well, as I mentioned before, I would say the entire Forsaken game is in the Apocalypse, depending on how you approach the Apocalypse game.
Okay.
So I would say that the entire Forsaken is there, right? So you have a couple of ideas here, a couple of ideas there, and then when you put all of them into the blender, at the end you're gonna have the Forsaken. But I would say that the idea of the allspices, the five allspices, the role of those allspices, also the 5 forms, this spiritual side of the Garrote. So that's still werewolves. They are not simply horror movie monsters. They're still connected to the spirit world. I'm sorry?
I said they aren't Lon Chaney.
Yeah. So they're still spiritually connected somehow to the world, and they have this spiritual duty to fulfill. Okay. They also got totems. They also got spirits who are gonna blast them, and spirits who are fight them. Although here in Forsaken, most of the spirits, they are enemies of the Uratha. You've got a fight between tribes, in a way, although you do not have this political fight as we did in the Apocalypse, but we've got the Pure Ones versus the Ratha. In a way, you got the Black Spiral Dancers versus the whole Garrote Nation. You still got tenants that they are made on a promise to the moon and stuff like. And you got the tenants from the litany, which are sacred to the Garrote because they have some spiritual bounding behind them somehow. So they are still cursed and blasted from spiritual entities. Let me see what else we have. Both they're still connected in packs. They're gonna have alphas, and these alphas are gonna decide what they're gonna do. They still have the renown system, which is a little bit different, but it's still the same thing in a way. Here in Forsaken, you've got 5 categories of renowns, and then you have only 3, but still a similarity. Their own gifts are given by ally spirits. So you still have the same thing. You have the same thing in the Apocalypse. Let me think. Both of the games use 10-sided dice.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
I'm just passing around.
Metalith has commented that we needed more Apocalypse talk. I think the reason we've been focusing on Forsaken is because, as a rule, most of our episodes we just deal with the old World of Darkness lines. So we've had several shows where we have talked a lot about Apocalypse. So we've been focusing a lot on Forsaken, and yeah, we haven't talked about Apocalypse all that much, other than, what's been carried over, what's changed, or what we would steal from Forsaken to throw at people unsuspectingly with Apocalypse. But we did get a question. New Wave wants us to share our favorite tribes for Apocalypse and Forsaken.
What kind of show is this,
anyway?
She's
a big fan of Stormlords and Shadow Lords.
Whoa, I'm with her.
Right?
Yeah,
I'm not, but okay.
Yeah, I'm totally with her. I've got a deep passion to the Shadow Lords, and here in the Storm Lords, while reading, I can see them, and it was something that pleased me, but still I got a bit disappointed because I wanted something actually new.
Okay, Jake.
I can't say for Forsaken because I haven't really gotten really anything. Like I haven't been into it enough to really say I have a favorite. But
Yeah.
for Apocalypse, my favorites have changed over the years. I guess of the tribes, Wendigo and Black Furies are my two favorite.
Go figure.
Wendigo always has been. I've been obsessed with that legend since I first heard about it when I was like in elementary school. So I just love anything that relates to the Wendigo myths and just gravitate to it. So the whole fact there's a whole werewolf tribe that goes by the name Wendigo and they follow Spirit Wendigo, I'm like sold.
Is all their fur white?
They are white furred, yes. Black Furies is just something I've recently kind of gotten more into.
Black furries.
Previously, I used to Yucatina and Bonars were the other tribes that I used to really like, but over the years they've kind of faded in the background, and Black Furies have kind of overtaken them.
Seems like Black Fury is very popular, at least as far as the chat's concerned. Mine, okay, Glasswalkers for the old tribes. I like the idea of a techno wolf. It's just works for me.
A cyberpunk wolf.
Yes, and then from what I can tell from learning tonight and going through the wiki as I have been doing, I'm really feeling the Ironmasters, man. They seem to something about that calls to me. I like it.
That's kind of, they are similar, right? You're right with me, because you like one from the Apocalypse, and then you try to figure out which one would be
your best fit
tribe. Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, it looks like the Black Furies have won tonight. They can come and pick up their prize.
For auspices, I really like Ragabash.
Ragabash, yeah, me too.
And I've already commented. I'm a big fan of Métis. I don't think I've played a Lupus. I think I just don't know how I would be able to put myself in a wolf mindset. Like
that's difficult
to role play. Like I think that would be, and it's not like I shy away from difficult concepts, but I don't know if I would be comfortable enough doing it enough to enjoy it. So I haven't really given that a try.
About that, there is a new book that they have just released from the 20th anniversary series, which is called Changing Ways. They have actually the idea of the mindset, not only the lupus, but the Métis and the homid and everything, what it actually means to be a werewolf. It's a very interesting book. It's something that from the old collection, that's something that I missed. You know, there is a book called Ways of the Wolf. That's the first edition, and in a way teaches or tries to teach you how to be a lupus, but I don't think that they get it covered. But in this new book, that's something it's a really good reading. I really recommend anyone who's actually interested in Werewolf, check this book.
Okay. My I ran a game once for my son and one of my daughters a couple of years ago, and she was 6. She played a lupus, and I felt she did pretty good because
you're not biased at all, right?
Well, no, but just with the fact that she was young enough that her own natural level of curiosity and maturity kind of blended well with an animal. You know, the fact that the animal would be
her exuberance,
instinct, and like a playful puppy kind of. Yeah, right.
Yeah, so, that's nice.
And so, I thought that went well, but I still don't know if I'd be able to do it enough to enjoy it. So.
Yeah, no, but I guess that you're correct. Whenever we are chatting or discussing in our forum from our podcast here in Brazil, that the biggest difficulty of everybody, how to role play lupus, or how to role play especially a red talon, because they're not only lupus, they're not only a wolf, they're still Garo, and you've got kind of incorporate elements from each one of these natures, and that's hard. That's damn hard.
Yeah.
Whenever I have a new player, I strongly recommend them to play with Homid, especially because that's something that they are familiar with. Or if they feel like brave enough, okay, matey, that's all right, but lupus, no way.
Huh. So, I thought lupine was actually a derogatory term.
Lupine would be. It's what the vampires that don't know anything about them call them, right?
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, if you call us lupine, that's okay. Dogs?
Yeah, that there's a group of archons called the dog catchers, right?
Yeah.
Who hunt specifically werewolves. And that was where I heard the term lupine, as far as what they did. They hunted lupines.
Yeah, but that's okay. You call us lupines. We call you leeches, and that's all right,
And I feel you, dude. I do. I mean, you should be happy with the derogatory term as well as the regular term. It's all part of the thing.
Yeah, no problem.
It's just too much fun in general but you don't argue with a werewolf. You either run or die. That's about it, man.
Yeah,
their natural weapons do ag damage, for God's sakes. Okay? Yeah. At least to kindred.
There is a friend of mine who's a big fan of vampires, and he says that the best way of a vampire to kill a werewolf is waiting for 60, 70 years, and that's it.
Yeah. Pretty much. Because there was something else that popped up when we were talking about Carns and loci, is that I mentioned that there's a werewolf pack in downtown Manhattan, and I was told that that all of Central Park was a big-ass Carn for that tribe. And I was like, wow, man, that would not be a good place to hang out after dark.
No.
It didn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're vampire, mage, hunters. Hunters is stupid because they always try to go up against shit they have no idea how to fight most of the time. And they usually die for it. But I don't know... Other than the aforementioned dog catchers, I don't know that there is a version of the hunter that would hunt werewolves. Or could do it effectively anyway. Because even with their, what are the skills, whatever, what are the hunters, their little powers, whatever. I just don't see them being able to stand toe-to-toe with a guru at all.
Well, it depends because I don't know. There are some powers in hunters. I just forgot the name. I guess it's edge.
Yeah, some of their edges can still fuck over a werewolf pretty bad.
Yeah, one. But as we've mentioned, they don't tend to move around solitary. There's usually 5 or 6 of them brothers that jump out at you. And so what are you going to do? Really? Your edge? Fine. Go right ahead, dude. You might take out one, but the other 4 are going to eat you up.
Yeah, that's the whole idea of Forsaken and Apocalypse, right? Wolves hunting packs. So do the Garo or the Ratha. That's their strength. That's what they must do. You're not gonna find. It's really hard, at least, to find a solitary or a lone wolf, as the
except for that one
goes.
That one pure group.
The ghost wolves, yeah. But that's the strength. For example, in the Apocalypse, the individual, it's not valued, treasured, or sometimes even mentioned. It doesn't matter what you did. Whatever you do, that's what your pack did, right? So that's the point of that. Doesn't matter if you're gonna kill all the enemies all by yourself. The credit goes to the pack, not exclusively to you. So that's the core of the book. I always say that sometimes the players. Okay, I'm gonna talk a lot about Apocalypse now. Not a lot, but just a few.
Let me answer your question real quick. Metalith, that was Apocalypse, with the werewolf pack in downtown New York. Matt?
Yeah.
It's all you, man.
Sometimes players, they tend to think like, oh, I'm a Shadow Lord, so I must go against this Silver Fang of my pack because we are from different tribes and our tribes are enemies and whatever. But that's the wrong way to see the thing. First of all, you're a member of that pack. Second, you're a member of that sept in that Karn, and then you're a member of that tribe. So that's what that's where your allegiances are, you know. First of all to your pack, then to your Karn, and then to your sept. It's not because you're from an enemy tribe that you're gonna fuck any other packmate of yours. Maybe you have your disagreements, okay, but he's your true brother, not the guy who lives in, I don't know, in the Carpathian Mountains, for example, to give the example of the Shadow Lords and the Silver Fang.
There's a nasty pack up there, too.
Yeah.
No, I can't remember where I heard about it, but it was one of those situations where they had actually, some of the Simiche had actually talked them into guarding the areas between essentially as guards for their castles, and I was like, wow, really? I'm going, how could a fiend, somebody who's even more worm tainted than I, be able to talk a guru into doing that, or a pack of guru?
Yeah, the Shadow Lords, we are able to create friends, let's say, whenever we find that's going to benefit us. So, okay, if we, at this moment, we're going to gain more benefit from aligning ourselves to the Zmisi, and then we in order to find the Tremor, for example. And then, okay, after doing this, we're going to turn our claws to the Zmisi or anything like that. That's
well, they're
much
also
part
of the pact was that the Simiche of that particular castle had free passage, so that they could go out and hunt and so on without having to worry about this wall of furry. I'm dead serious, man. Those things are. If you look at the descriptions for full guru form, the war form. It's like 9-10 feet tall, man. It's like, jeez.
Yeah.
What do you mean? No. It's celerity, dude. Bam. I'm out. Of course, that's not a common. It's not a common discipline for my clan, but. I don't know. Supernatural speed could get you away too, but not if they stack rage. Your ass is had. There's nothing you can do about that situation. All right, we're coming up on the end of the show. If you guys have any last minute questions, now's the time. Metalith, I'm gonna get with you after the show and check to make sure your availability for 2 weeks from tonight. Okie dokie. And by the way, I think I know who our second's gonna be, Jake. One of my favorite guests who absolutely loves talking demon. Come on. He's been on the show more than anybody else.
That could be so many people.
Eric Simpson. I'm looking at the list. Eric Simpson has been on the show more than anybody else. But he was also one of the seconds for the last Demon show. And he got very he was really getting into it. He enjoyed the discussion, So yeah, I think we'll grab him for the second now that he's back from his pilgrimage to Las Vegas. You did see those, didn't you, Jake?
Pilgrimage.
Yeah.
Yeah. He posted a whole bunch of pictures. It was awesome. He went to Madame Tussauds. And I had one of the grand questions of my life, shower thought kind of thing. I wonder if they have a statue of Madame Tussauds in there. And apparently, yes, they do. This is a little old tiny lady with oh yeah, she's a little old lady, man. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Yes, here we go. Farah versus the changing breeds.
Whoa. I would say that Farah, so the Bastard, the Mokole and stuff, I enjoy them. I enjoy them more than the changing breeds we've got in Forsaken because of the fact that they have their own duties to Gaia and stuff. As far as I know, the hosts they call or the other changing breeds as well, they do not possess such as thing. So I would like to see they look a little bit spiritually empty to me, you know. While the others they have their own duties to Gaia and the things they've got to do and stuff. So they have a role in the beginning of the things, but in the Forsaken, again, this is as far as I know. I look at them and say like, okay, I guess I wanted something more.
Oh, okay, all right. Wait a minute. Werewolves, certain types of werewolves can see through obfuscate too, can't they?
I'm sorry?
In Apocalypse, I know that there was. It's either they're smelling you or something, but it's able to penetrate obfuscate. Low levels.
There are gifts that let you do it, just like Auspex does. So they have to be skilled enough at that gift to be able to see through higher levels of obfuscate.
Ah, okay. Awesome.
Yeah. That's one of the things, for example, that I said that the system is going to break at some point of your game.
But that's
for
a challenge. Being able to, I have my dream game, the one I've been trying to run for years, is trying to do a crossover with vampires, mages, werewolves, the whole 9 yards. Let's just go downtown with this shit.
Okay.
And I think I can do it. It's not going to be easy. It most definitely is not going to be easy. But I think if you get the right impetus, you might be able to get them all to work together, at least until whatever is resolved, and then shit's going to break down and everything's going to go sideways. But I think I might be able to pull it off. I'm just saying. I've even still got Jake's Kwai-Jin. We were going to throw everything in there, buddy. And I couldn't see. I kept trying to
wait and see how long it takes for Peter to pull his hair out.
Oh, right. That's the other thing. And I was also going to get Victor to play a Wraith. And the name of the game is The Path to Stygia. That's going to be fun if I can ever get it off the ground. So, all right, guys, we're at 3 minutes till. Anything last minute? Yay. I want to thank our guest tonight. Appreciate it, Matt. You pulled us out, man. We weren't even going to be able to do the show without you.
Oh, I say thank you for the invitation, Peter and Jake. It's always been a pleasure. And whenever you need Werewolf talking, you know how to find me.
Yeah, that's right. You are our preeminent werewolf dude. I'm dead serious. We've had some other conversations, side conversations, kind of like the end of the show.
Yeah.
Sorry, New Wave. That's fucking funny. Anyway, all right. Sabrina's out. Good night. And anywho, I think you'll be back, of course. Well, there will be another werewolf show at some point. Didn't we get a green light on the new 5th edition yet?
I'm sorry?
I was under the impression that they were kickstarting the 5th edition for Werewolf.
Well, I'm not sure.
Not kickstarting.
Oh, they're just going to finance it.
Well, it's going to get worked on, but Vampire's coming out first.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
We'll wait.
So first they're going to release Vampire, and then they're going to...
But I figure Werewolf's right behind it.
Yeah, probably.
But we are waiting expectantly for them to get around to doing the Werewolf stuff on Storyteller Vault, though.
Ah, okay.
Yes.
So good people from around the world can do location accurate supplements.
Exactly. People who live in those cities. They're the best ones to describe said city.
Yeah.
Exactly. About that, we've been writing a werewolf source book from Brazil and a little bit of South America. We are kind of looking forward to the Storyteller's Vault based on werewolves. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Because we'd have to get you on the show for that.
Okay.
Looks like Into the Wilderness show up right at the end of the show. So anyway, yeah, they're doing a 5th edition Werewolf.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently New Wave wasn't ready for that one yet.
Yeah, they're gonna do it for all the core lines. So.
Yeah, all of them. I'm waiting. Please don't leave Mummy out. Please don't leave Mummy
core lines. We'll see.
No, please don't leave
we'll see if they'll make it to Mummy
out because it's a core book. I have it. It's right here. See, yeah, Metalith is just going to wreck my dreams. Thanks. Appreciate it. All right, guys, this is it. We're out for the night. I want to thank you again, Matt. You've been awesome, as always. And Brother Jake, I'm not gonna keep you after class so you can go do family stuff, and I'll finish getting 2 weeks from now set up. I gotta talk to some people and see a man about a dog, etc. So everybody say good night.
Night.
Bye.